Welcome to this year's ICS Conference 2025. Please join me in welcoming the President of ICS Singapore, Dr. Elias Tam, up on stage to deliver his opening address. Thank you.
Introduction. How do I start? There's no I in team, and this conference is a strong testimony to that. This is an unusual conference. Unusual because December is a tough time to organize any medical surgical conference in Singapore. Having to compete with multiple major conferences in the region. And many doctors are traveling for family holiday as well.
We have took your precious time off from your busy schedule. All of you are so busy in your practice. But you decided to take time off and come to support us. Especially all of you from overseas, including people from all the 6 federations. I'm truly grateful. ICS is a unique organization that is bringing everyone together from all over the world. And this is expressed in our theme of cross-disciplinary innovation in surgery. The team from TLC management event has made things gel together. And please forgive me if I have not mentioned you, but rest assured that I'm grateful and I remember you. We had our MyFace hands-on workshop over the 5 weekends in November, headed by Dr. Tan Se Lok. MyFace academic workshop yesterday, led by my good friend Professor Kim Hin-ji and Professor Lee Yong-sok from South Korea, and many of our Singapore trainers. That was held in parallel with the Singapore Declaration of Empathy Consensus meeting, chaired by Dr. Vishakumar Shilak. This will be followed by 2 days of excellent talks in 3 tracks, starting today and tomorrow. Please feel free and do visit all 3 tracks to learn and share your experience, and also visit the sponsors to see what is new and give them your love. There will be excellent prizes that will be given away for those who visit all the booths, okay? And stay till the end of the conference. These prizes include iPad, iPhone, and many more prizes. So if your iPhone is getting a bit old, come join us. Make sure you stay all the way to the end. There will be a gala dinner tonight. I'm sorry if you have not signed up yet because it's already full. Next, I'd like to take the next 3 minutes to honor our founding president of Singapore chapter, Professor Christopher Chen. He was also a past world president. He's also a world past president of ICS and the chief editor of our very own journal. Unfortunately, he's not able to join us, but not to disappoint us, he has actually recorded a video for us. So, can you all play the video?
Dear fellows of the International College of Surgeons, I am Professor Christopher Chen, past world president and fellow of the International College of Surgeons. Being editor-in-chief, International Surgery, I had the honor and privilege to serve the International College of Surgeons since January 2012 for a period of 13 years. I'm sad to announce that I have decided to resign as editor-in-chief, International Surgery, effective this 44th ICS World Congress. I thank ICS World President Dr. Vito Paquet and Dr. Elias Tam, President of the ICS Singapore section, and all the previous as well as current leaders of the ICS governance for making my tenure as editor-in-chief, International Surgery, productive and successful. I'm also grateful to all others who have assisted me, and I give thanks to each of them. As editor-in-chief, International Surgery, it requires so much time to communicate information of new scientific medical research. It is my goal from the very beginning to make the scientific medical community aware of new research developments without restrictions. Hence, in the year 2017, I took the bold opportunity to have international surgery become an open access journal until now. It has been my privilege to be a fellow of the International College of Surgeons for more than 30 years and as the past group president from 2010 to 2012. I recall I hosted the ICS 2000 World Biennial Congress for the first time here in ICS Singapore. Throughout this period, I have also made significant financial contribution to support the college to honor and sustain the legacy of Dr. Max Florak. Finally, I would like to give my best wishes to all of you present in efforts to advance international surgery and the whole international college of surgeons in the service of humanity. Thank you.
Good morning. Dear fellows of the International College of Surgeons, my colleagues, my ICS friends, as the world president of the International College of Surgeons, it is my sincere pleasure to welcome all of you to the International College of Surgeons 2025 Biennial World Congress. I have to thank the Singapore section for organizing this reunion and inviting us all to the fascinating Singapore. The Singapore section is highly respected in the ICS for its continuous commitment and efforts to accomplish the goals of our college. Outstanding leaders and benefactors came from this section, as we saw just now, Professor Christopher Chen, past president and editor-in-chief of the official journal of the ICS International Surgery for the last 13 years. I have full confidence and assurance that this surgical update will offer high-quality value in academic communications, surgical camaraderie, and social activities. It will be informative and helpful in staying abreast of rapid developments in our profession. The central theme, cross-disciplinary innovation in surgery, sharing technologies for transformative surgical care, is well chosen, appropriate, and actual. In recent years, the ICS has made a great effort in humanitarian surgery. This is a way of providing more safe, accessible, and equitable surgical care, especially for the most vulnerable communities. Our plan is to get even more involved in the following years in achieving the goal of universal health coverage 2030 set by the World Health Organization. The guest speakers of this Congress are well qualified and the scientific program is excellent, including a central presentation of our recent work in global surgery and other diverse topics in all surgical specialties designed to improve scientific knowledge and development of new surgical skills. Throughout these presentations, the focus will continue to be to raise the standards of safe surgery around the world, while at the same time addressing the unmet humanitarian needs of millions of people. These underprivileged patients' needs must be recognized and addressed. The My Face Cadaveric Workshop and Conference will be held in conjunction with the Biennial World Congress. This activity offers a dynamic combination of expert-led lectures, series, and a comprehensive workshop providing hands-on training focused on advanced aesthetic techniques. The Asian Federation Congress is also going to be held in conjunction with this All this will add prestige and quality to the event. The International College of Surgeons is a far-flung global entity with members, fellows in a lot of countries all over the world. Its constitution and bylaws assure leadership at a local country level to exercise leadership as section leaders desire. This cuts to the effectiveness with local discretion to fulfilling the core strategy of the International College of Surgeons, which is humanitarian surgical missions. Local leadership and fellow participation are fundamental for the functioning of the college. The more participation we have, the greater the benefits this college can give to their fellows. The International College of Surgeons has 90 years of history now of serving global citizens in surgical need without any bias emanating from race, philosophy, or religion. The ICS is apolitical and is understanding that 2/3 of those in surgical need around the world, the mission of the International College of Surgeons is huge. Since the ICS founding in 1935 by Max Torek, the rich legacy of the ICS is without parallel and has been and currently is recognized by the World Health Organization, a division of the United Nations, having the ICS as a non-state actor in official relations with the WHO. I heartily commend our World Treasurer, ICS Section President, and now President-elect of the International College of Surgeons, Dr. Elias Tan, and his organizing committee for their dedicated efforts to organize and implement this absolutely superb 2025 ICS Biennial World Scientific Congress presidency of the ICS, to my dear friend, Tavam Tami Pillai from Sri Lanka. /USA. I, Professor Tavam Tami Pillai, do solemnly swear that I shall preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and bylaws of the International College of Surgeons and faithfully adhere to the Constitution and the orders, rules, and regulations of the International Executive Council.
I, Professor Tavam Tami Pillai, do solemnly swear that I preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and bylaws of the International College of Surgeons and faithfully adhere to the Constitution and the orders, rules, and regulations of the International Executive Council.
That I will perform the duties of the office of President faithfully and to the best of my ability, and uphold the highest ethical principles. All these I solemnly pledge without mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
That I will perform the duties of the office of the President faithfully to the best of my ability and uphold the highest ethical principles. All this I solemnly pledge without mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
Thank you very much, Dr. Patel and Professor Tanvi.
I'll just start talking about the slides. It'll be good. Good morning. And thank you very much for the true privilege of leading the College of Surgeons, the world body, and I I would say this is my highest honor I have received, and thank you for that privilege. And I want to welcome all of you and thank all of you traveling near and far from various parts of the world to be here. I think it's, I put together a small presentation to lay out my plan for the college, what I had planned to do with all of you together as members, as governors, as counselors, and past leaders. Also, I want to start off by talking about myself, so you know who I am, where I come from. If you know where I come from, maybe it's easy for you to talk to me or talk to me as a person. So I have no conflict of interest other than I'm very truly passionate about global health and global surgery. This is a bit of an outline I have. Talk about a little bit about myself, a little bit about ICS, which my colleagues have discussed it, so I won't spend too much time. But most importantly, I want to talk about the role of ICS in global surgery and what we can do and we should do. So as Dr. Pakat said, my life did start in Sri Lanka, and then from there I traveled to Africa. There was a civil war went on in Sri Lanka for more than 3 decades. Some of you heard of those stories last night. And then from Botswana, that's where I did my high school, and from there I went to Ireland in Europe. That's where I did my medical school, and moved to States a little over 26 years ago, a quarter century ago. That's where I did my surgical training in Philadelphia. But the reality is, when you read about civil war on a book or watch a documentary, it's different when you go through it or when you experience it. And these experiences do shape who we are as a person, and we cannot run away from that. There aren't too many of us who could say that we lost our teenage friends. It does leave a mark on us, for better or worse. And I think that's one of my life experiences. My father used to say, it is the painful experience in the life that will shape you who you are as a person, not the happy ones. So, and that's me, you know, in a nutshell. But, you know, one of the things I learned very quickly in life, you know, this picture was sent to me by one of my colleagues in the auditorium during the no-fly zone. You know, that's similar to what's playing out in Gaza. And the picture on the right, that was taken by me in Port-au-Prince at the tent city after the 2010 earthquakes. And, you know, the poverty looks the same. It doesn't matter where it is. The wall looks the same. Unfortunately, the casualties are the same as well. And that's a very important lesson I learned. If you look at the photographs, they look so much alike, but they was taken 2 worlds apart. And I did also learn very quickly, it doesn't matter I'm operating in Jaffna with my colleagues and friends here or in Honduras on a mission trip, the patients are the same, the impact are the same. So I look at health as a global language, much like love and music. I think that's also the benefit of that for those of us here. We can use health to bridge peace, bring people together, not separate. And so this is how my global life, global surgical experience started. In 2003, when after the ceasefire was signed in Sri Lanka, I visited and we came across this boy who was about 10 years old. He was with his grandfather, and it's Dr. Peranandaraja who took me on the rounds at the time. And showed this boy has kidney failure, and in 2003 there were no dialysis access, and he was going to die. I just could not wrap my mind around a 10-year-old boy is going to die of a benign disease. He had a worse prognosis than some of the worst cancers we treat. And that was wrong in so many ways. So I started going back on a regular basis, and 2 years later, I'll be able to bring a dialysis unit to Pudukkudi in Dani. And I think it's almost took me two decades, almost 20 years later, in 2023, with some of my colleagues in the audience today, I was able to do a first kidney transplant in the same hospital that I saw that boy 20 years earlier. And I think these are the nephrologists who was here, in fact, yesterday for a short time, with the recipients that we have transplanted. I think the most important thing is, it's not just doing services, but importantly, developing a system. Now, my colleagues in Sri Lanka are doing transplants independently on their own. And to achieve this, if you truly need a village, you just kind of do this on your own. You know, you build most importantly, the connections and the relationship you build with your friends and colleagues. And I want to here acknowledge my friends from Sri Lanka as well as our current or the elected World Treasurer, Dr. Siva Vidyanandan's here. He helped with some of the training progress that happens during the 2 decades for us to be successful. And this is a Japanese word, the ikigai, right? This for me, when I'm in Sri Lanka, when I'm with my colleagues, that's my sweet spot. I love what I do and, try to get good at that, and, it brings so much joy and contentment when we do this. And I'm a bigger reader, unfortunately it's not projecting, right? This is a nice book called Well-Being, and one of my areas, the department I do these days is faculty well-being, and this book that was written by Tom Rath and Jim Harter, I highly recommend it if you're interested. You heard a lot about what ICS has done over 90 years, so I'm going to skip through some of this, and Dr. Guido Packard highlighted our vision very clearly. And Dr. Thorak started, the college, he was truly a visionary if you think about it. In 1935, he allowed anesthesiologists, the obstetrician and pathologists into the college who were involved in the aspects of surgery. And only now the WHO is recognizing about SAO, surgery, anesthesia, and obstetric as a segment. And Dr. Thorak thought of this 90 years ago. And these are our 4 arms of our mission that's not been updated and revised. That shows the importance of how we had to revisit on looking at our overall mission and vision. When he says communicate, the way I look at it is collaborate. When he says lead, I'm looking at we should be leading the global surgery. That is our lane. Sometimes we get lost in different specialties. Our focus should be on global health and bringing equity in global surgery. I think that should be our focus. I want to highlight this slowdown, and there are 6 federations, and unfortunately we get tied up and get politicized, especially during the times of elections. For me, there is no such thing as Asian, American, or European and African federations and so on. I believe we have only one federation, the International Federation of College of Surgeons. That's what probably FICS stands for. I believe we only have one federation, and that's what we should believe in and should learn to work together rather than find reasons to be divided. And you already heard updates on the journal. I'm excited to inform Dr. Guido Packard was very successful in recruiting Dr. Vijay Khatri as our new editor-in-chief. Thank you for taking on the role, Dr. Khatri. And we do have a museum with multiple artifacts available, and it's ranked one of the top museums in Chicago with over 30,000 members who go through it, and that's an important revenue line for the college as well. But this is an important thing that we do, is being part of the WHO as a non-state actor. Sometimes we get lost what is global surgery. I think that's important to realize. Global surgery is essentially helping to bring equity in surgical care. And you can do that not just through education and service and research, but we have to advocate for that patient, that global surgical patient, especially those in low middle income countries. I think I don't see our legal counsel, Mr. Edelman here, but I think we need to differentiate between lobbying and advocacy. I think that is key. And this is Dr. Director General of WHO in 1980, that he delivered a speech at the ICS conference in Mexico City. That's 1980 means almost, 45 years ago. That was the 22nd Biennial Congress. Were you there, Max? There you go. And so he's the one who used the word, there is no global health. Global health is not complete without surgery. He used the word, he coined the word surgery for all. Surgery not includes, health for all includes surgery. I think that's an important landmark. In 1980, he said that, keep that in mind. And in 20 years later, we had these Millennium Development Goals, and they had no language of surgery in year 2000. So 20 years later, they still have not included this word surgery, but they included, importance of collaboration, and that's what we should be playing, the ICS, rather than focusing, getting lost in other areas. Focus on global surgery, how we can enhance and the prominence of surgery in the area with WHO. And then in 2015, they came up with the Sustainable Development Goals. Again, spoke about the relationships. So that's, you can look at it from 1980 to 2015, no one is talking about surgery. Why this is important? Because look at this graph where pink and blue, that's where the money is being spent on malaria, HIV, AIDS, maternal child health. Why are these billions of dollars, the big chunks being spent on those areas? Because that's why they included in the language, and that's where the money get invested. That's why advocacy is so important. No one advocated for the surgery patient, and now in 2025, non-communicable diseases are overtaking communicable diseases, and so we have failed to advocate for our patients. I think that should be our primary role. And we do have the chair of the Political Action Committee here of American College of Surgeons. He knows the importance of advocacy. That's why they spend so much time and energy. I mean, we were not talking about it so bad. We had an infectious disease gentleman, Dr. Paul Farmer, unfortunately passed away. He's the one who coined the word, surgery has become the stepchild of the global health. And not until then, in 2015, that John Weir and colleagues, put up their article, sentinel article on global surgery. And as you can see, everything on the red side shows the darker the area, the less the access to surgery, and the lighter the area, patients have 100% access to the surgery. And on the right again, unfortunately, it's not projecting as well. It shows the density of if the blue shows the high density of healthcare workers. In this article, they said you need 20 surgical anesthesia and obstetric providers. They just put everyone together for 100,000 population. And higher that density, higher that number, the better the outcomes. I think that's the learning point from that study. And of course, then COVID happened, that showed our vulnerability. And this is an important statistic I got from Dr. Miara. He said COVID-19, about global mortality was close to about 15 million, but plus or minus, depending on, because not every country checked the data. And it had an economic impact of about 12 trillion and pushed about 40 million people into poverty because of lack of job and work. Lack of global surgery does this every year. We are having a COVID pandemic in surgery every year. Just think about that. That could be and why we are not doing anything about it? Because no one is advocating about it. I think he coined a nice phrase. If you try to advocate without data, it is called cheerleading. Cheerleading doesn't work. Advocate with data and science. That's why research is important. And how many of you have seen this photograph before? It's called the pale blue dot. This is the Voyager 1, I think. It was traveling, it was almost made it at the edge of the solar system, and it turned around and took a photograph in 1990 on the Valentine's Day. That little dot is us, the planet Earth. And the light's going as the sun rays. And we sometimes get lost with our egos, whether we're in America or any other part of the world. And we can barely even see any country on that dot. So I think we should just be careful to check it's good to check our egos, I think. I think and also it shows how vulnerable we are, how small we are. And so when we try to address this surgically, we have to be aware of the climate challenge and the impacts of operating room being inefficient. And so we have to be smart about what we do. Data and science, that's how this should be driven by. So what that means for us as ICS? Max reminds us that we have 3 pillars or 3 service lines: the membership, the journal, and the museum. And I don't want to spend too much time here, but what it means is we have a lot of work cut out for us. We do have a lot of work on improving our financial side. Our bylaws need to be addressed. We need to be true to our bylaws, and that's the oath I took. And I don't think our bylaws being looked at or revised for decades. We should stop doing amendments, just create a bylaw, and we stand by it. In US, we created a constitution in 1776 during the times of slavery, and it still stands. Because the forefathers were right in saying, they knew all men were created equal. they knew they were doing the wrong things. So we need to create a bylaw that can stand the test of time. Stop doing amendments. Let's be smart and intelligent adult about it. I think that's most important. And our website has some work to do. And to do this, we should do it together. I said we are one federation, the International Federation of College of Surgeons. Let's all 6 federations members come together and work on this and discuss it and do what's right for Dr. Thorak and his memory. And again, we have a lot of work left for us to do on the membership side. And I'm just putting the highlights of what the membership that we need to do. But most importantly, what I want to get to it, what we, the world body, can do to the sections. One is we're going to be fiscally conservative and be responsible. We try to be good stewards of this fiscal responsibility. And if Dr. Siva Vidyanandan doesn't give me a good budget, I'm not going to support it. Probably he's going to have be tough on me than I am tough on him. And I think I've heard it time after time when I went to Africa and other countries, the rest of the world. Our membership, why is an American paying the same dues as someone else? And why I think we should talk about how to address that. And our colleagues at the International Society of Surgery, Surgical Society, they do it already. You're the past president here with us today. Thank you for joining us. And of course, I think we as members have responsibility for fundraising and get involved in all aspects of what the EPS section and the world body can do. And I'm hopeful that we'll be able to resolve our issues with our US section during our term, and look forward to working with Dr. Mammon and the rest of the crew on that. And the journal, I'm excited. I'll let Dr. Khatri, talk. He gave a presentation yesterday on what he plans to do. And again, we should stop being just an observer at WHO. We should be driving the agenda for surgery. There is no better organization that can drive the surgical agenda than ICS. I think that is so important. What do they say? If you are not at the table, you're going to be part of the menu, and that's what's been happening to surgery. That's why we're not been getting the budget that we needed. And I think it's key to collaborate with other like-minded organizations like ISS or ACS and multiple other federations who are involved in the global surgical space. We cannot do this alone. We are a small little player. I think we should let our ego go and start advocating for that most vulnerable surgical patient. It might look very overwhelming. I think one of the role models is Mr. Mandela himself, and fortunate to have lived very close to South Africa and visited South Africa many times during my high school days. And he said everything looks impossible until you do it, and then it looks very possible. And for me, he is the true definition of grit, perseverance with passion. He believed in something and held on to it for 27 years, and he delivered it for the nation of South Africa. And when I look at all of you, what comes to my mind is what an American anthropologist, what Margaret Mead said. Never doubt that a committed small group of citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing. So I do believe ICS and its leaders and members can change the trajectory of global surgery. And maybe 20 years from now, we'll be looking at something different. And this is my number. Hopefully most of you and all of you have it already. And, we live in different time zones. And so I'm always available 24/7 as a transplant guy. I'm always on call. So you can always text me. I may not call you immediately, but I'll call you back next day. I'll guarantee you that. And I told you during the Board of Governors meeting in 2026, I would, all 6 federations, I would love to see you at your federation meeting. I challenge you to hold a federation meeting and a council meeting in your respective federations. I will be there, whether it's Christmas Day or New Year's Eve. And I couldn't be here without all of your support. And I thank my world body colleagues here and my good friend Dr. Packett for letting me be a pain in his back for 2 years, working as colleagues. And I think we have so much respect for each other, for how much we learn from each other. And Dr. Kwan, thank you for your support. And Max and Jennifer, and I'm excited for the future. And of course, my colleagues in the US section. It is Dr. Vicky Vigneshwaran who introduced me to ICS when I was a fellow. Thank you. And Dr. Mittal here, during his US presidency in Reno, Nevada, I became a fellow. And it is Dr. Chan Ramaya is the one who got me involved in as the executive council of the ICS. That was the beginning of my leadership track. And thank you for all three of you for coming here and others, all my colleagues and my friends. And of course, it's my parents who taught me the value of character. My dad's one of his favorite quote is, your attitude in life will determine your altitude in life. Unfortunately, he has a little bit of dementia, and despite that, he'll at least tell this a couple of times during my beach visit to Sri Lanka. And randomly will throw at it. And let's say the name of Dr. Max Sorek. Let's make ICS as the next leader in the global surgery arena. And thank you for your support. And last but not least, Dr. Mammon is having the ICS US section meeting. I'll invite all of you on his behalf to Omaha on March 9th, 10th, and 11th. And he's here, so get in touch with him, and you can put your hand up there. And so we'd love to have all of you in Omaha. And of course, in 2027, we'll be in Chicago under Mayur Narayan's leadership, and excited. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.